They say the definition of insanity is repeating the same process again and again and expecting different results, and that's pretty much where I'm at with the Marvel TV shows these days. Again and again they'll draw me in with promising trailers featuring popular legacy characters, teasing the prospect of taking them in interesting new directions, and even raising my hopes that we might actually be in the hands of competent writers and directors, instead of clueless, inexperienced activists that have somehow found themselves in charge of multi-million-dollar shows. But all too soon, the pleasing mask slips away to reveal the cynical, idiotic, mean-spirited monster beneath. Just another cog in the relentless Marvel content machine, whose only real purpose is to methodically break down and destroy your emotional investment in the product that came before, so that you're primed and ready to consume next products. Oh, you like Captain America, did you? Well, tough shit, because this is Captain America now.
You've got to do better, Senator. You've got to step up.
You thought Loki was pretty cool? Well, think again, because this is the superior Loki now.
You did it on your own. You had rings around them. You're amazing.
Pull your tongue out of my arsehole, Gary. Dogs do that. You're not a dog, are you, Gary?
You had a soft spot for Hawkeye? Fucking really? Well, this is his younger and more diverse replacements. But hey, I figured Moon Knight could be a little bit different. This time around, there was no legacy character to destroy, and the Moon Knight himself actually looked like a pretty cool hero. The show was like a blank slate of creativity, unfettered by past events and existing characters, allowing the writers to explore the full breadth of their imaginations. Oh, past me, you were so young and naive. Moon Knight stars Oscar Isaac as Stephen Grant, a mild-mannered museum employee in London. And by mild-mannered, I mean this guy is a bigger pussy than your average male feminist, minus the shockingly dark personal secrets that he's so loudly overcompensating for now. Anyway, Stephen lives a solitary life in London with no friends, and because he suffers from occasional blackouts where he passes out and wakes up in different places, he's forced to keep himself secured to his bed at night. Although for some reason he forgets about it every single time. Look, the silly man fell over again. Are you laughing yet? Anyway, wouldn't you know it, Stephen blacks out yet again, only to wake up in Austria, where some weird religious cult led by Ethan Hawke are on the hunt for an ancient artifact in his possession, and all kinds of wacky violence ensue. Stephen eventually blacks out again and wakes up back in his London home, but it soon becomes obvious that life is very much not back to normal now. How the hell did he get to Austria? And how did he come home? Who keeps taking control of his body? And how is he apparently able to wipe out entire groups of armed men single-handed? Before you know it, Ethan Hawke tracks him down to the museum where he works and sends a weird demon monster dog after him. That's when his alternate identity Mark takes control of his body again, turns him into an ancient Egyptian mummy warrior called the Moon Knight, and uses it to lay a good old-fashioned smackdown on the monster dog. Now, this all probably sounds a bit weird as I describe it, but bear with me here. The gist is that Stephen and Mark are basically alternate personalities inhabiting the same body. When one takes over, the other blacks out and can't remember anything that happens. Well, at least until now. Mark was a former mercenary that got fatally injured in battle and ended up becoming the servant of an Egyptian god Khonshu to save his life. Because, I guess, immortal gods just exist in this world now. Anyway, since then he's acted as a kind of enforcer for Khonshu's will, punishing people the god considers wicked and transforming into the Moon Knight when he needs to do some serious killing. Ethan Hawke, on the other hand, used to do the same job, but instead he switched loyalties to a different god named Ammit because, well, I guess he liked her style more. The point of Ammit is that she also exists to punish the wicked, except that she's not prepared to wait around until they do something bad. She basically has the ability to look into your future, and if you're ever destined to do anything bad in the whole rest of your life, then she sucks out your soul and that's it. You're fucked. It's a bit like Minority Report, except, you know, kinda shit. What about people who do a lifetime of good deeds only to make one bad decision? What about good people who unknowingly commit a crime because they were misinformed or manipulated into it? What happens if killing one bad person starts a chain reaction that now causes other people to commit evil acts in future? Don't know. Anyway, the other Egyptian gods didn't take too kindly to this, so they sealed Ammit away in a secret tomb whose location was hidden even from them. What? I mean, not to pick bones or anything, but aren't you gods? How can you not know this stuff? Did you, like, look away or something? Nah, fuck it. So Ethan Hawke's objective is to find Ammit's tomb so that he can resurrect her, and for this he needs the artifact that's in Steven's possession. So he captures him and Mark takes control again, and then there's more fighting, and then Steven literally runs into strong female character. I mean, I guess she's got a name, but since basically every female character in a Marvel show is just the same generic personality copy and pasted into a different body, I'm just gonna call her strong female character. So strong female character explains that she's Mark's wife, and she's mad because she hasn't heard from him in months and she doesn't understand why he doesn't recognize her, and now speaks and acts like a completely different person. Seriously, does none of this clue you into the possibility that there's more going on here than your husband trying to ghost you? Anyway, the upshot here is that Mark/Steven has to go with strong female character to Egypt and try to stop Ethan Hawke from finding the tomb and resurrecting Ammit. And there's more fights and wacky adventures and personal revelations that are only surprising to people with the IQ of a Marvel TV writer, but oh no, they're too late. Ethan Hawke resurrects Ammit and murders the other Egyptian gods, and Mark gets killed and ends up in a psychiatric ward that's actually the Egyptian afterlife. And then he hooks up with a giant hippopotamus that's actually the god of the underworlds. But that's okay because strong female character transforms into even stronger female character to save the day. Then Khonshu and Ammit transform into giant Godzilla monsters and fight each other, and Mark comes back to life and shows up just in time to help strong female character defeat Ethan Hawke. Then everything goes back to normal, everyone forgets about the giant soul-sucking Godzilla monster, and they all live happily ever after. You know, if I had to sum up Moon Knight, I'd say it's like a chef being presented with the most expensive and exotic ingredients known to man, and ultimately producing a grilled cheese sandwich, with a fucking banana sticking out the sides. It really just feels like a whole bunch of missed opportunities that never lived up to its potential. The show raises interesting philosophical questions about the nature of free will and passing judgment on crimes that haven't even been committed yet, but it never really goes anywhere with these ideas. There's no attempt to delve deeper into the repercussions of such a worldview, argue the pros and cons, or even justify whether there might be some kind of merit to it. Instead of a thought-provoking moral dilemma, all we really end up with is giant skull monster fighting giant crocodile monster. Great. Remember when comic book shows actually took a step back from big blowout spectacle and just showed what happens when two conflicting worldviews collide? That was nice, I liked that. There's a hint that this was going to be some kind of globe-trotting adventure to search for ancient artifacts, piece together devious clues and explore lost tombs, which sounded great because I love all that shit. But really all it comes down to is two locations, London and Cairo, with almost nothing in between. And fuck it, most of that was probably green screened anyway. The result is a show that promises a lot more than it actually delivers. There's little moments where the script implies this could all just be some crazy fantasy playing out in Mark's head while he rots away in an insane asylum, which would be kinda cool if it wasn't introduced so late in the game that there's absolutely no doubt this is meant to be real. Seriously, this is the kind of thing that only works if you build it up with subtle hints and suggestions throughout the show. You can't just drop it in at the penultimate episode and expect people to buy it. The concept of a protagonist with two radically different personalities having to harness both sides of himself with unique abilities, knowledge and experience is a neat little idea, but the show ultimately bungles it by making one side so fucking useless and annoying that there's basically no value to his existence. Mark is more or less tolerable as a gruff, resourceful man of action with a dark past, but Steven is so ridiculously whiny, pathetic and incompetent that I often found myself questioning why he was even in the show. He doesn't line up with any human that I've interacted with, and I can't believe that the writers actually expected audiences to empathise with him. And the real ball ache here is that the comic book version of Steven was more of a Bruce Wayne kind of character, a rich, successful playboy to Mark's down and dirty mercenary. That would have been fucking awesome, but nah, we can't have a male lead that's cool and rich and dangerous all at the same time. Gotta turn him into a fucking goofy clown so that his own show can openly mock him. The reason for Mark and Steven's split personality is eventually explained through a series of clunky flashbacks to a childhood trauma near the climax of the show, and fuck me, while it was nothing short of mind-blowing that Marvel would have the balls to portray a mother in a negative light, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you think about it. Like, Steven is meant to be some kind of coping mechanism that emerged to help Mark deal with his mother's violent abuse, so shouldn't that make Steven the hard, bitter, violent one? I don't fucking know, and I suspect the writers couldn't tell you either. The sad thing here is that they actually had some great acting talent to work with. Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke both turn in good performances, doing their their best despite the shitty material they've got to work with. I mean, seriously, how many shit projects is Oscar Isaac going to sign up for? And how wasted was Ethan Hawke, playing a character with almost no backstory or personality? The Moon Knight himself is a neat concept that looks great visually, and I hope to one day get to see him in future seasons. Seriously, he's on screen for about 5 minutes in the whole show, and for the life of me I couldn't tell you why. You'd think if you had the ability to transform into this immortal, invulnerable demigod and stay like that for as long as you want, then you'd basically do it at the first sign of trouble and keep it up until every single threat had been thoroughly dealt with. But that's okay though, because strong female character is on hand to do most of the heavy lifting. Seriously, I lost count of the number of times she rescues herself, Steven, Mark, Khonshu, and even the Moon Knight himself. There's literally nothing this girl can't do.
¿En si superhero mostraya?
At one point she even instructs Mark on how to perform some ancient spell that'll defeat Ammit, even though she's been doing this stuff for about 4 minutes by this point. But yeah, sure, of course she knows better than him, and of course she's better at fighting than him, and of course she never ever needs to be rescued by him, because this show is yet another shining example of the rules. Really, it's your classic Marvel bait and switch approach to storytelling, or as one eloquent subscriber put it in one of my live streams recently, it's Trojan horse content. Just like Doctor Strange 2 was less a sequel to the first movie and more of an epilogue for WandaVision coasting on the name of a popular character while using him as a convenient springboard for next product, so Moon Knight is basically a backdoor pilot for a Red Scarab series, which I'm willing to bet is already in development. In the world of Marvel, the idea of telling a single self-contained story with a definitive beginning and end is like garlic to a fucking vampire. Everything is done in service of the brand. Everything is about feeding into the next thing, promoting the next show, launching the next product. It's an endless conveyor belt of infinitely expanding content, each new project getting more obscure, rushed and lazy than the one that came before it. Where, how and when is it ever going to end? Don't know. Either way, you should probably do yourself a favour and find something more worthwhile to do with your time. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.